Paint the Universe Show, episode 1, and I'm sitting here with my homie Cody. How we doing today, man?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. Super stoked to get this rolling, you know.
Same.
I feel like we already have so many overlapping interests that with this show we can really bring light to a lot of little happenings, dude.
We've been friends on Facebook for a while, and we've always just kind of been able to bounce ideas and interests back and forth. So it's cool to be able to sit down and kind of express that with others.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, like our roots go back to we met at Sabativ 2017. Was
17,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, that was my first festival. How about for you?
Really?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I mean, I think it was like a year or so after I started hitting festivals, but it was maybe my third or fourth. It was definitely early in the scene for me too. It was a week after I hit my first Infrasound in 2017, which was super sick. And I ended up meeting some people at Infrasound that I was neighbors with that lived in Madison that were really cool. My friend James, he owns Vintage Vault Arcade out there. Oh, yeah. And he had like a ton of arcade games in his house and stuff, and he let us stay with him for a week, and we decided to hit Suboctave the next week. And I'd seen the lineup, but I had like no idea about anything about it, you know? So pulling up there and seeing what it was, such a small, tight-knit festival packed with art, was like everything I ever wanted in one small place. It was awesome. I could only imagine that being a first festival, you know?
Very eye-opening. I had no idea you did them back-to-back, and with James actually too, dude. I worked with him a lot at Lucid Tuesdays at the Crucible in Madison.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I had
dude,
no idea.
I love James.
Cool, dude. Yeah, shout out Vintage Vault Arcade. I know they have a storefront now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if it's still in Madison or not. Like, I want to go out there. I know he had like Tony Hawk visit recently and stuff. That's so awesome, dude.
You know, a lot of love shown to him. Dude.
Hell yeah.
He's been doing that. Yeah, man. I mean, I miss Madison thinking about it, you know. I appreciate all that's out here, though. You know, a lot of new. How many years you been out here now?
It'll be 20 years next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been out here a long time now.
Oh yeah. Really finding your groove.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely kind of become home, you know, like especially like I'm from California, and when I was young, especially people always asked me if I was going to move back. Like, I don't know why, being a kid, they're asking you that. But I was like, you know, I would like to as a kid, you know, that was my home. But now that I've grown older and really lived most of my life out here, like, this is definitely home, you know. It's hard to leave too. I've thought about trying to get out with rising costs and all that stuff. And I travel a lot anyway, so I find interest in new places and new experiences. So I thought about moving, but it's hard to leave here.
Always something going on.
Definitely.
Always something going on.
Almost every day. It's almost too much at times. Overstimulation.
You had like 6 events one night.
Yeah. And like every time I go to an event, there's usually 1 or 2 that I want to be at somewhere else as well.
Yeah, so we can dive into some like topics lately that have been popping up.
Cool.
You know, a big one that comes to mind is the Easy Baked. What's it called? They just did their run at Mishawaka, right?
Yeah, Mishawaka was awesome. I was able to make it out for night 1, and that was really cool.
Cool. Was that the Baker's night set?
Yeah, the Baker's set. That was the one I really wanted to catch because I've been a fan of like their side project, the Bakers, for a while now, and that was super cool to be able to see them throw down a set as the Bakers. I think they've only played a few sets as the Bakers before.
Yeah. I found them, like through their side projects on SoundCloud years ago. Never saw them on the lineups, and then the past couple of years, I feel like they've just been like
I think they've had like a couple in Florida, like one here, and then maybe like at like Infrasound or something like that. Like I think this Infrasound they had a Baker set out there as well.
Cool. I really like what they've done. I've seen a lot of artists do out here too, where like they do their side project opening set, you know, right? Really bring in a crowd and support the openers.
I really like that. Like I've seen a couple artists do that kind of stuff, and I really like that feel. And like you said, I like that it gets people to show up for the openers as well, because there's still a lot of people that don't know this music. Like I feel like you kind of forget that as you get far into the scene and you've been going to shows for years and stuff, and maybe you still are someone that goes for all the openers. I know I am, but I feel like a lot of people become those people that are like, oh, it's Jade Cicada, and I really just want to see Jade, so I'm going to show up like a couple hours late, beat the line and stuff. And if like you did that in Chicago, which like I had a buddy go last weekend, and he said that like he was like, if you miss pedals, like you messed up, you know. So it's like if you're not there for the openers, especially something special like that, like you're definitely missing out on something that you could be a new favorite artist, you know.
Totally, it might hook you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just on there. Outset was an outdoor festival, right?
I think it's a venue, honestly. I think Outset is a venue in Chicago, because McMahon has a set coming up here in October there too.
Okay, I know there's been like a bunch of new venues in Chicago, from the Salt Shed.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of coverage on. Looks beautiful. Dude.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of friends out there in Chicago, and I've definitely seen them kind of bounce around with venues. I know they've had 1 or 2 shut down on them, but the scene out there is popping.
Yo, I haven't been back in many years, dude. I think last one was like North Coast Fest 2019 or something.
Yeah,
20.
sadly, I don't have the best of experiences in Illinois. I went to a couple summer camps and stuff, and yeah, so I want to get back out to Chicago and have some real fun. I wanted to get back out there for McMahon, but now I think I'm gonna try to go to the Day of the Dead show, like after Halloween in St. Louis, because I got some friends that have been trying to go to St. Louis as well, so that kind of makes things easy on me.
Cool. I see St. Louis' scene popping up like all
Dude,
the time.
yeah, I love it, dude. I love that city. I feel like it doesn't get a whole lot of love, and there's not a ton that I see happening in St. Louis.
Yeah.
But every time I drive out east, I stop in St. Louis, get some food, check out the art. Like, it's a cool city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hit was it the murals last time you drove through?
Yeah, I hit like the Paint Louis walls, and I did that when I went to Rendezvous too, because I was pretty on top of it last year when they did all the murals. So I knew it had happened, and when we went down to Rendezvous for Tipper, I stopped there and we walked most of the walls and checked out most of the murals on the way down there. And so when we went to Alabama for Tipper, we stopped in St. Louis again, got some food. And I was like, man, they should be doing it pretty soon. Like, I know it happens like in the middle of summer towards the end. And so we looked it up, and it was the first day of Paint Louis while we were there. So we went down there, and it was a bunch of people still starting. There was a couple like throw ups and stuff that were there already. But yeah, all the walls were black and stuff as we were going down to Alabama. So we made time on our way back to stop and check it all out. And it was crazy seeing it go from black walls to the craziest murals you've ever seen in a matter of days, you know. Yeah. And I only walked half of it. Somebody told us there's 3 miles of murals there at the dam wall in St. Louis. And we maybe walked for 1.5 miles, and I had to kind of keep a schedule. I was getting to a friend's place in Kansas City that was letting me stay with them. So I had to not push it till like 1, 2 a.m. to where he's letting us in, you know, but it was really cool. And I definitely want to, when I go back now, I'm going to try to check out the other half.
I'm not super tuned into the graffiti world. Were there any artists that like stood out to you at the Paint Louis show?
I would have to like look up specifically. There was definitely this one I know, like it was called like the War for St. Louis or something. Okay. And it had like a war theme to it. It had like the arc like getting blown up, and like, but all like the soldiers and everything were like animals. It was like geese and beavers and tanks and stuff like that. And it took up like 8 spaces, like, because they had it all categorized, and it took up a fat piece of like of the wall down there, and it was super cool. I would have to definitely dive in, like, 'cause they have all their like names and everything everywhere, and I would definitely have to dive in. When I went there the second time, there was still somebody finishing up his mural, and he was bumping like Machine Drum and Komodo and stuff like that as I walked by, and I was like, damn, this guy knows what's good. So I sat with him and watched him do his thing for a minute. It was pretty cool.
Cool. Bring in a little crowd there, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
DenverWalls is coming up too, right?
Definitely at the start of October. It's like across my birthday now, which is super cool.
Cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of who I saw in the lineup for that. Yeah. Anyone notable?
Last year it was like Nichos and like AL Grime and like a bunch of local artists that did really cool stuff, like Squid Liquor. There's a bunch of local artists out here. Chris Haven. There's a lot of cool artists that get down on DenverWalls out here, and honestly, it's like a time where a lot of graffiti artists pop out and are all over the art district popping off too. So like last time, I just went down there every day and was kind of walking around, meeting new artists, doing their thing, which was really cool.
Dope. The Nikos mural, it was on the Mission, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to find it last time. I mean, it was dark when I pulled up, but I just wasn't able to locate it last time.
So it's like right on the corner. Here, I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
The Nichos mural is like right on the corner where you walk in, where people like usually line up to like hit that corner and go in. Mm-hmm. It's like a big reddish, like I don't even know what to call it. I think it's like a horse, and like with like, or like a eagle or something, because it's, you know, his style. It's all like the anatomy of things and stuff like that. So it's like this huge crazy mural like right on the corner there. And there's also another one, like if you look up towards the apartment building that's right there, there's one on the corner that's like rhinos flying and stuff like that. That was also done at DenverWalls last year. Cool. Those are both really cool pieces.
Cool. I feel like Nichos was my first like introduction to graffiti. You know, early on, like he'd have like
hell yeah,
super viral photos of it's crazy anatomy pieces.
I wish I could really remember like the first artist I really tagged on to that I was able to follow as a graffiti artist, you know, because definitely like growing up in California, I feel like it was way more predominant out there than it is out here. And even as a kid, everybody's drawing graffiti. You know, you go to class or even like just down the block, people have like paint crayons. Like we're getting anything we can to draw on things on our street and stuff. Like it was just around us all the time. So it was definitely something I latched onto as like a young age. And as I came up, that was kind of why I like cater a lot, because like as I got into the scene, I found this graffiti artist that was just pumping out artwork like street artist style, and I was like, I really like this.
Yes. Yeah, I was very heavy in the cater too. I know we overlapped a lot on that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially at Suboctave, because he was doing like a big mural there and everything. And like I think they even had A. Brooks there. I'm not positive about that one, but I know like Lex was there, and I'm a super big Lex fan as well. So like it was super sweet.
Have you looked back on that lineup lately, dude? Like,
it's insane.
Yeah.
I still look at it all the time, and I'm like, dude, like it's crazy that this went down in such a small place with like 500 people. Like when we pulled up, like I said, I didn't really know anything about Suboctave, and we had just gone to Infrasound, which was like, they told me 500 to 7,500 people. And then I pull up to Suboctave and I asked the security guard, I was like, how many people are at this festival? Because it was pretty tight little like valley on a farm, literally some guy's farm.
Yeah, you could see the silo.
And he was like 5 or 7. And because it was the same number as Infrasound, I was like 1,000? And he was like, no, 100.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like that's crazy. Like I had never seen such a top-notch event for such a small amount of people, honestly.
Bring Suboctave back.
Yeah, seriously.
2025.
I mean, they brought it back I don't know if you saw that. They brought it back like right after quarantine or something like that. And I actually had tickets. I don't think I ever got my money back from that, to be honest. But
did they do an event or a festival?
They tried to do Suboctave again. Like it was supposed to be Suboctave Festival again. I don't think it was same location or anything, but they tried to do it again. And it ended up, like for whatever reason, it shut down. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it got shut down. And I don't even think we were like able to get our money back for it for some long-winded reason. But like honestly, at the end of the day, I remember not being mad about it, because I was like, if it helps Suboctave get forward at all, then like I completely support it. Like that's how great that festival was. Like I will easily put money towards it.
Yeah, that's not the first or the last time I feel like we're like, festival kind of fades away, with money basically.
Yeah, I mean it was a small festival to begin with, like. And I'm sure, like, I don't know, it didn't really seem like there were neighbors out there or anything, but I'm sure it's probably hard to get permits for some guy's farm and logistics and all that. And it probably blew up after we were there, There's no way the 700 of us didn't go tell all of our friends how awesome it was, It definitely would have doubled down by the next year,
Yep. Oh, yeah, I had my homies were going to Infrasound years before. And then, I felt like this pull split almost. I'm just glad to hit Infrasound when I did. My first year was 2019.
Nice.
When was your first year at Infrasound?
2017. I was pretty on point with it. 2016 as well, and 2015 honestly, but I just like didn't make it out. But like I had friends there and everything. I was like supposed to be there, So it just kind of happened. And then 2017 almost didn't happen, but I had a friend show up and he wanted me to drive him to Bisco. Like it was like his birthday weekend. He was like, dude, like let's just drive. Like I'm trying to go to Bisco. And I'm like, if you give me the keys to the car, we're driving to Infrasound. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts. And he was like, all right.
Stop.
Yeah. I was like, I will get you there, but you are not going to Bisco. I'm sorry, dude. I was like, we were going to Infrasound. We're seeing Tipper. We're seeing Caspa. Like. It was definitely a fun weekend, my first weekend. So you never went to Highbridge then? Your first year was at Harmony?
Yup, it was the first year at Harmony.
Yeah, that was awesome. Tipper was there that year as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. I had a fat crew for that one, so that was really cool because like it felt like all the Infra fam really came out for that one and wanted to show love to like the new spot and everything. And it definitely was kind of like some tough love at first, like. I'm not a huge fan of silent disco in general, and Infrasound probably is the most proper silent disco I've ever seen.
It pops off.
Yeah, but it's still like I went to Infrasound when it was 24/7 music for 4 days straight with these systems that are like the best in the world, So it was definitely kind of a stake in the heart to not to have this like sound system looking at you and not be able to hear it go full blast all night long, but. It definitely is very proper, and I think Infrasound has kind of blossomed into something new, and it's definitely become more community friendly, I guess. Like Infrasound kind of wasn't for the weak at Highbridge, Like I feel like some people might have heard about it and went out there, and then you deal with the rain and everything that came with it at Highbridge, and it was a lot. You definitely had to kind of tough it out at times, and Harmony's very peaceful. It's a very tight knit, great spot.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
from the history behind it, I'm just glad, the festival seems to have found a home that people really latch onto.
Definitely, because it definitely had some issues bouncing around before, and even like police presence at Highbridge and stuff. Like they really did not want that festival there. You can even feel it as an attendee, you know. So it felt rough, even though you were having a great time. It felt rough, and at Harmony, you don't have any of that.
Shout out Harmony, shout out Infrasound, shout out Zoe.
For real.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I was bummed to miss Equinox, but we'll make it back. We'll make it back. You know,
Equinox looked awesome too. I really like that they had the treehouse out where like the pyramid is. I don't know. It feels right. I went back. I guess it was Equinox last year, or maybe the year before, when they brought the treehouse back for the first time, and it was on main stage for Equinox.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome. That was super cool. It was dope having the treehouse back, but it feels right being out in those trees where like the pyramid usually is. I want, like, I don't know, this might be a crazy request. It feels like they don't want to do it, but I want the treehouse where like the pyramid usually is out in those trees, and then I want the pyramid up in the dome, because they usually have like either the sound system in front or like it gated off like on that one side where the speakers usually are, and then like they have the 360 stage in the middle, which their new 360 stage looks sweet too. Like I haven't seen their railing system like that until this year, and I wasn't there, but it looks awesome. And but I think the pyramid there, the way they set it up back at like the trees where it's just like the pyramid in the system kind of making its own barrier, I think it would work really well in that dome, like at the very end of it, and kind of give like a little bit more space maybe for like dancing, which doesn't really matter in there. But I think that with like visuals on the pyramid and the visuals overhead when we can get them would be sweet. And then like the portal stage where they have it on main stage like this year for Equinox, I meant to say, like when they have the portal on the main stage, like I think it looks really good there. It fills it out real nice where, I don't know, it definitely looks good in the dome too, but I think it looks good on main stage as well.
Oh yeah, they put the treehouse over on was it right against the water this year? You know, I haven't seen that personally, but I like just being like close, almost touching it. I feel like that kind of brings you into the trees and brings the trees down.
Yeah, exactly,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's an awesome feel. It brings the whole thing together. Treehouse is just kind of that stage though. It's kind of always felt that way. Like every time I've been in front of the treehouse, it feels like you're just consumed with everything around you.
Did you see that picture of the speaker stack going around with the little dude on it, yo?
Yeah. People thought I was serious when I reposted that on Facebook, because like my friend posted like a picture of the actual stack, and then he posted that one of the guy and like shrink him down. And I said something like funny about it, and people like took me seriously, so I had to post like the real pictures of the stack to like show people like I know like what's actually there, but it's still funny.
It popped off in the scene, like it went around, and I was like taking notes. And I'm like, okay, fake as hell, but I'm like, it's all wind, bro.
Right?
Like,
definitely.
just using like the little sticker apps. I'm like, okay,
yeah, it's great.
Figure out something.
Quality memes.
Yo, the content, bro. So yeah, we got Tipsgiving coming up at the Fillmore now, just announced too.
It's gonna be wild.
It's
gonna be super wild.
Super stoked. We're doing 3 nights this year, right?
Yep, 3 nights at the Fillmore.
Bangers, beats, down tempo.
Bangers, beats, and down tempo.
Any predictions for support?
I really want McMahon on the blackout night, on Bangers night, and he's been pumping out new tunes and kind of showcasing them on IG and stuff. And I know they kind of said they're kind of branching off from having the same old names, but I feel like, especially after the blackout party with McMahon at Serves, that he's at least probably on their radar for wanting to be there that night, you know. And he hasn't played too many Tipper events. Like he's played like 1 or 2, I think now, or maybe 3. But yeah, I would love to see him on blackout night. I saw some people say like sort of vague and like stuff like that. I would really like to see him there. I would like to see some out of name pockets, like, or some out of pocket names that I haven't seen in a while there, but no real predictions. You never really know what they're going to branch out. I like that they've been showing some new names that like people don't really know, like even Saturna and Bandito Jones and stuff like that in Alabama. Like,
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think they're trying to really branch out and get some new names in there, which is really cool. They've had 2 Foxes at like a couple of events now, but I don't think he's had an actual set. Like he had an ambient set after the like main stage sets at Rendezvous, but I think he might pop up one of the nights, like maybe down tempo or something.
Wild. Curious to see how down tempo is, you know.
Dude, I always say down tempo is not what people think down tempo is, but like I don't know, maybe like I came into the scene listening to like Flying Lotus and stuff, which is like kind of what I consider down tempo on that scale too, where it's still pretty heavy and like it's just a slower like beat to it, slower drums and stuff. It is down tempo. It's not in your face craziness, but it is still super heavy. It's not ambient. Ambient's where we get to chill and it's very light, and I think people confuse that a lot. Like down tempo is not what you think it is. It's not gonna be chill. it's gonna be Vection and like stuff off of Jettison Mindhanch, but like you're gonna get VIPs and craziness that you've never heard before. It's Tipper.
Yeah, there will be peaks and valleys. And,
like, but I don't know. I think people forget who they're fucking with when they go see Tipper, dude. That guy is crazy.
Feel like he's bringing out the heat and the bangers. I mean, obviously leading up to his retirement, it's not even weird just to like think about this post-Tipper world for the first time.
Definitely.
There's never been artists like I feel of this caliber that's like knowledge, I'm stepping away. And then there's been all these super dope co-signs, from McMahon.
Right.
A lot where they're just putting him on, dude, and highlighting him.
Yeah, for sure. I like what he's really done, like with his little umbrella of artists that he fucks with, and has for his events and that he supports and that OD supports and everything that they run events with. Like when I first found Tipper, it was kind of like Tipper and friends really meant like Tipper and people he was friends with, like Android Jones would pop up and Shabongle and, stuff like that. Or Ott, it was like one of the first Tipper events I went to and stuff. And even I think, like Killsmith was kind of on his radar pretty early. Like I saw Killsmith like in that similar scene fairly early on out here, especially being a Colorado local. And then like as he kind of progressed into like 2016, 2017 and started doing more of like the Tipper and Friends events, like it became Jade and then Detox, and it was really just them three for a while. And then like people kind of had like Resonant Language was still a low key name at that time. McMahon was still a really low key name. Like I ran into McMahon at Infrasound when I first went, and we became friends and stuff. And I had no idea who he was. I didn't put two and two together, nor did I ask or anything, And then at Suboctave, like I really wanted to see that set. Like that was one I was pumped to see. I'd been listening to his music for like a year or two. And had no idea who he was, never really seen his name on a lineup. And then he played at like a 500 person event in like a little barn, and he jumps up on stage, and I was like, dude, I know this guy. Like that's crazy. And like I even told him after that, I was like you should be playing Tipper events, not 500 people events. Like what is going on? Like you make the craziest tunes. And then his first Tipper event was Red Rocks. And I was like, that's insane, like, but well deserved. And some of us, like if you were on that scale, you saw Resonant Language coming, you saw McMahon coming for like a long time. And I'm really happy that that team also pays attention to where they need to pay attention to, And now since then they have a big umbrella of artists that they've kind of tucked under their wing and brought to these shows that do a great job.
Very thorough, the whole team. Like, inside and out. I mean, the Tipper Red Rocks was the last time I saw Tipper. Yeah, the McMahon said he did the blackout visuals. I remember there.
That was sweet.
That was dope.
That was definitely one of my favorite Serve shows ever. It's probably the only show I've ever seen where people stopped looking at the stage and just turned around and were dancing with each other and like just vibing, just actually vibing and not paying attention to what was happening anywhere else other than in their circle. And that felt awesome. That felt like something you see in movies, like in dance scenes where everybody's just like in a circle, disco in on the ground and stuff. And like nobody's really looking at the DJ or paying attention to anything going on besides like what's in front of them. And that's exactly how that felt. And like, so I hope Tipper's like that on Blackout Night. Like, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be, but people are so fixated at his shows that having their spot and having the perfect visual of what's going on. And I really hope that kind of loosens up on Friday night, and that should kind of carry in through the rest of the weekend, which will be really nice.
I like the breaking the mold. I see the McMahon does that a lot of just trying something new. I mean, and he's very outspoken, which I really appreciate.
Definitely. Man, that's only made me like him even more as a person and an artist, because I definitely kind of feel the same way he does when it comes to a lot of things, and he's kind of spoken about it. And I like that he kind of, like, I don't know, people listen to him. I'm a nobody. People aren't going to listen to my opinion, nor do I think they should. It's my opinion. But he's kind of outspoken about how he doesn't want to do the media reels and, feed into the social media game of, like, producing music and stuff. He's sitting on his farm, feeding his animals and making bangers, and it works, And, like, I've tried to use that as an example with people. I'm like, I don't feel like you don't absolutely need to do the social media thing when it comes to music. Like, of course it helps, but it should be a tool that you use. It shouldn't be something that you're so focused on that it's stressing you and that you're losing time making music, trying to pump out reels for Facebook. Like for the one song you've made in a month, where there's other people out here just cranking out tunes because they want to make music, and whether they release them or not, they're just sitting in their room making music and making music and making music. And eventually they're going to have something that surpasses you, whether they're at that level or not right now, just because they're so focused on their craft. They're not focused on whether they're getting the likes or not. And I feel like eventually that shines through, like in every case. Like I think you can definitely make your way. Like there's more than plenty of examples of people that kind of switch up their mindset or anything, or switch up their music and all that to find a new path and use social media. And like I don't want to hate on him, but Trip Street's a good example, you know, like he changed things up, he changed up his tunes, he changed up his marketing, all that, used like social media to really rocket himself forward, and people picked up on it, and he makes good music, so like it worked, you know. But at the same time, like I feel like if that's not what you want to do, it's not what you have to do. And I feel like a lot of people stress that or over stress it.
Never really connected with Trip Street. I've always felt off about any artist wearing a mask. I don't know.
I'm back and forth on that, dude. Maybe it's because like I don't know. I've always felt like I've always been the guy that wears like a hoodie and shades and a hat and stuff like that. Like I don't find myself too attractive, so like I'll wear a bandana or a mask if I can, you know. So like I've never really had too much of an issue with that, except for when I don't like people that use it as like, I don't like people that hide their identity and try to do weird stuff with it or try to act like they're not who they used to be. Like Marshmello is somewhat of a good example for that, just because of how long he hid his identity. I don't think that was necessary. You know, like that's cool and all. You switched up your sound. Like he's a great example of that. You know, he switched up and he did the social media thing and marketed himself different and everything. And now he's one of the biggest artists in the world. Like people everywhere know Marshmello now. Like you can see other countries, there's people wearing like Marshmello shirts and stuff like that. Like it's crazy. So like that's definitely a good example. But I kind of lost track of where I was going, to be honest.
Oh, you're good, dude. Yeah, I followed Marshmello to the rave in Milwaukee for like 2 or 3 years in a row. I remember, I was super into him. I really liked his bounce for a while. I mean,
oh, all right, the mask thing. I remember. So like, but with his mask, like I feel like he definitely could have told everybody he was .com and nobody would have cared, you know? Like it's not a big shock. It's not like Ellis Dream and Brills is kind of a wild contrast. And if people listen to Brills music and then listen to Ellis Dream, they'd probably be like, wow, that's like completely different, you know? But he didn't hide that at all either. It's not like he ever didn't say he was who he was, you know? He just came out with something new where like other people tried to hide it. And I think that's where like the helmet thing gets a little weird.
Totally. Yeah, it was always in the culture, like, who is Marshmello? It's kind of this era.
Right, that was a thing for so long, and like there was so many people that like knew too, and we like tell people like, dude, it's .com, and they're like, nah, I think it's Tiesto. Like, what, dude? Like, Tiesto doesn't need to wear a helmet. Like, get real for a second. But yeah, so the mask thing is like one thing. Like even Mercury used to wear a mask. I don't know if you know that. He used to wear like a bandana on stage all the time and stuff. But I don't think it was more like a hidden identity thing. I think it was definitely more of a play to the type of tunes that he played, the dark kind of mysterious stuff, you know. And so I feel like it's definitely how you approach the situation.
I do like that if it kind of breaks down that barrier, at least early in your career, to get you on stage, comfortable, performing in your element. Cool.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah. I think he even kind of mentioned that was a big thing for him too. Because at one point he did make like a post years and years ago about how he was like kind of done wearing the bandana and stuff like that. And now he's a very forward spoken person. I like Mercury a lot on every level. I've sat down and had conversations with him, and he's been very kind, and he's always very driven and focused, and, you know, just always level head and always doing something new and trying to push innovation in the scene. I really enjoy that.
Awesome. Are they Denver-based as well? Yeah.
Mercury's out of North Carolina. I think he's in Asheville. He could be somewhere else out there, but I believe he's in Asheville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I see the whole South scene popping up a lot too. I mean, Nashville's one of them.
Right.
You know.
For sure.
Florida too, always popping off.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot popping off like across the country now. Like I know Denver kind of used to be the base capital, and maybe it still is, but there's a lot happening in other places now too. Atlanta's been popping off, and Florida's pretty spread out, but they have a lot of good events. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening in St. Pete and in Orlando and Miami, and like what was the event that just happened a week after Tipper? It was like DenverWalls and maybe Killsmith and stuff in Pensacola. It was like a car show / EDM show that Corey from the Black Box like helped put on and everything. That was really cool. He he talked to one of my friends and told us we should come out, and I was like, man, I wish I could, you know. Like if I had the money and the time to drive from Alabama to Florida for that show, I 100% would have, and I hope it did really good, because I would love to go to another one next year or something if they have it.
DenverWalls is one of my favorite producers, especially into his down tempo work. You know,
so creative.
We just got his vinyl pre-order for the Two Pairs of Eyes gazing only at each other.
Nice.
You know, I love that like trilogy of his albums where he really dove into his emotions on it.
Right.
Very outspoken, you know, like one with his personal beliefs and his political beliefs.
Right.
I think it's cool. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of what he says or posts, and like I don't take that away from being one of my favorite producers. Though,
Right. And I think that definitely is the thing in our scene, bro. People, and for good reason and for bad, like with him, I think people can kind of take things he says to heart, or even like Supercilious makes a lot of jokes and stuff like that. And there might be people that take that seriously, for no reason, like it's people being silly. Like Facebook isn't real, like it's a place that people go and say what's on their mind in the moment, and take that at base value, whether it's an opinion, especially on politics or anything else, like take it with a grain of salt. And if you don't like somebody's opinion, that's okay. You can still enjoy their art and what they make without, I don't want to say associating, like, cause it is their opinion, but like, unless it's like striking such a chord that you feel it like upsets your morals as a person, like I don't think it's that deep,
No.
Like there's definitely lines to be crossed, and if people are saying wild things like anti-Semitic things, like then it gets to a point where it's like, all right, that's enough, like I can't align myself with this person if this is how they're going to behave. But if it's like silly based opinions or comments on Facebook and stuff like that, like I don't think that's a necessary reason to cast somebody out or their music, for sure.
No, yeah, it's this weird like tiptoe in the scene of not being like rude,
right,
confrontational.
Everybody wants to be the positive, nice, plur, love spreading kind of hippie, and honestly, that's not the world we live in. Like that's a good base and a good goal to have and a good thing to put forward, but you got to be real and accept that other people are going to have different opinions, and you might view them as negative. It doesn't even mean they are negative, but there is going to be friction. Like without friction, there isn't anything. Like nothing happens, like nothing will change. Like if you don't like something, then that other side of opinion is going to help you get to a better place. You're never going to make a perfect world with just your view.
Preach, dude. That's why I'm glad, the show, we can really talk on a lot of those points, and we're going to keep working on this. We're going to be wrapping this episode up for episode 1, dude, but
cool.
We're going to keep it going. Any socials you want us to follow you on or anything like that, man?
I don't got anything going at the moment other than this. I plan on getting a lot of artwork pumped out soon. I tried to start doing it last year, but I need to get myself a new iPad. So that's the goal right now, so I can start making more art and start doing stuff for more shows. I'm working at Argus right now, so I'm just kind of attending shows and helping out there as much as I can.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome, dude. Stoked to keep this rolling. Till next time. Catch you around. Peace, everyone.
Peace.